When a joint buckles under heavy pressure, our immediate instinct is to focus all our attention on the site of the damage. But treating an injury by only addressing where it hurts is like trying to put out a fire by silencing the smoke detector. The pain is just an alarm system alerting you that something went wrong. To find the actual origin of the problem, sports scientists analyze the human body as a kinetic chain. This means every joint, muscle, and tendon operates together as a single, interconnected biomechanical system. If there is an invisible inefficiency in one link of that chain, like a slight mechanical flaw in the hip, the body compensates. That forces another joint entirely to absorb a massive amount of unintended downstream stress. Unless you track down and eliminate that original point of mechanical failure, the repaired joint will simply tear again the moment it returns to a high-load environment. True recovery requires stepping away from basic symptom management and committing to a complete correction of the athlete's movement patterns. Inside Karlos Sports Science, that process begins by removing subjective observation entirely. The clinical setting is built around precise, objective data collection. Clinicians use electromyography to measure muscle activation, force plates to calculate ground reaction forces, and advanced motion tracking to break down biomechanics millisecond by millisecond. This table details guidelines for evaluating knee conditions. Notice how baseline impairment tests shift completely between the meniscus and articular cartilage. Clinicians also document specific activity limitations to establish a firm, objective starting point. This comprehensive data profile eliminates the guesswork. It hands the physical therapist a rigorous, scientific blueprint for the entire recovery path. With the blueprint secured, the early rehabilitation phase begins. The immediate clinical objective is isolating and neutralizing the specific physical deficits identified in the assessment. Before an athlete can run or jump, they have to restore basic foundational functions. That involves reducing joint effusion, pushing for a full range of motion, and forcing dormant muscle groups to wake up and contract. This flowchart illustrates the clinical decision-making process required to manage that progression. Therapists constantly monitor the patient's data, actively looping back to modify treatments if a specific physical impairment is not resolving. To safely load the healing tissue, clinicians alternate between targeted open kinetic chain exercises, where the limb moves freely in space, and closed kinetic chain exercises, which rely on pressing against a fixed surface for foundational joint protection. Meticulous precision in this early stage ensures the brain does not build faulty compensatory enlivements to avoid pain. Once isolated strength is restored, the athlete moves from the clinical table to the gym floor. The rehabilitation scales up into dynamic, multiplane functional movement patterns. This phase requires intense motor control retraining. The athlete actively rewires their nervous system to communicate efficiently with the newly strengthened tissue, ensuring the body knows exactly how to coordinate the rebuilt joint. This burn consensus statement outlines exactly how experts manage that jump, advancing the athlete from basic range of motion drills directly into heavy functional strength training. The demands escalate further with high-velocity plyometrics, conditioning the joints to absorb sudden, explosive forces unique to the athlete's sport. This critical transition produces a biomechanically resilient system, fully prepared for the intense loadings found in high-stakes environments. The final phase of the continuum tests the absolute limits of that resilience. The athlete must prove they can withstand the unpredictable chaos of live competition. Medical clearance is never granted based on an arbitrary timeline of weeks or months. Returning to the field relies strictly on achieving objective, criteria-based performance metrics. Athletes undergo a battery of grueling evaluations. They have to demonstrate perfect limb-to-limb symmetry and pass highly reactive agility tests while deeply fatigued. Because they spent months stripping away old mechanical inefficiencies and optimizing motor control, athletes routinely emerge from this process with significantly greater power and efficiency than they possessed before the injury occurred. Clinical success is defined by the complete reconstruction of human movement, optimizing every structural link for the extreme demands of the game. By relentlessly targeting the root cause within the kinetic chain, Karlos Sports Science uses the injury as a starting point for a systematic upgrade in the